What happens when a 3-second dare puts you in the crosshairs of the city's most dangerous man? Lena Hayes thought it was just a game, until the entire restaurant went silent and she realized whose lap she'd just landed on. Victor Armin doesn't forgive, he doesn't forget, and he never lets anyone walk away unscathed. But instead of fear, she saw something else in his eyes. Something that terrified her more than anger ever could. Interest. Stay until the end to see how one reckless moment rewrites 2 lives forever. Drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story travels. Now, let's begin. The bass from the restaurant's sound system pulsed through Lena's chest as Maya leaned across the table, eyes bright with tequila and mischief. I dare you, Lena laughed, shaking her head. We're not 15 anymore. Exactly, which means you're boring now. Maya pointed her lime wedge like a weapon. 3 seconds, any guy in here, sit on his lap, then walk away. That's it. That's harassment. That's living. Maya glanced around Aurelio's, the kind of place where entrees didn't have prices and everyone looked like they owned something important. Come on, when's the last time you did anything spontaneous? Lena wanted to argue, but the truth sat heavy in her stomach. 6 months since she'd finally cut ties with Daniel. 6 months of rebuilding herself brick by boring brick. 6 months of safe choices and early nights, and absolutely nothing that made her pulse spike like this. 3 seconds, she heard herself say. Maya's grin could have lit the city. 3 seconds. Lena stood, smoothing her black dress, the one splurge she'd allowed herself after the promotion. The room tilted slightly. Not drunk, just loose, brave, stupid. She scanned the restaurant, looking for someone who'd laugh it off. Someone safe. That's when she saw him. Corner booth. Alone. Dark suit that probably cost more than her car. He wasn't looking at his phone or the menu. Just sitting there with a glass of something amber, watching the room like he was calculating the net worth of every person in it. Not him, Maya said, following her gaze. Lena. Not that one. But something in Lena's chest had already decided. Maybe it was the way he held himself, still but not relaxed, present but not participating. Maybe it was the challenge of it. Or maybe she was just tired of being careful. She walked before she could reconsider. The crowd seemed to part without her asking. Her heels clicked against marble, each step feeling both eternal and instant. She could feel eyes turning, conversations stuttering. By the time she reached his booth, the entire restaurant had gone quiet in that way that makes your skin prickle. He looked up. Gray eyes, not cold. Worse. Measured. Like he could see straight through her dress, her bravado, her entire stupid plan, and was already 3 moves ahead in a game she hadn't realized she'd entered. Can I help you? His voice matched his eyes. Calm, controlled, the kind of voice that didn't need to rise to be heard. Lena's nerve flickered. Then she thought of Maya watching, of Daniel's voice in her head telling her she'd never be brave enough, wild enough, enough of anything that mattered. She sat down on his lap. The entire restaurant seemed to inhale. He didn't move, didn't flinch. His body beneath hers was solid, unnervingly still. She could feel his breath, steady and unchanged, while hers came in short bursts. 3 seconds. She just had to last 3 seconds. 1, she counted silently. His hand, large, warm, settled lightly on her hip. Not grabbing, not pushing away. Just there. Steadying her or claiming her or something that made her heart slam against her ribs. 2. You're either very brave, he said quietly, or you have no idea who I am. His voice wasn't threatening. That was the problem. It was curious, interested. Like she'd done something genuinely surprising and he wanted to understand it. 3. She stood, legs shakier than she'd expected, turned to walk away. Made it 2 steps before his voice stopped her. What's your name? She shouldn't answer. Every instinct screamed to keep walking, to get back to Maya, to laugh it off as a dumb dare, and never think about those gray eyes again. She looked back. He was still sitting exactly as before, but something in his expression had shifted. Not anger, not amusement. Something that looked almost like recognition, though they'd never met. Lena, she said. Then, because her mouth apparently had a death wish, Lena Hayes. The corner of his mouth moved. Not quite a smile. Victor Armin. The name hit her like cold water. She knew that name. Everyone knew that name. Victor Armin didn't own businesses. He owned sectors. Real estate, tech, half the city's infrastructure. The kind of wealth that didn't need to announce itself because everyone already knew. And the kind of power that came with rumors. Whispers about how he'd built his empire. About what happened to people who crossed him. Her face must have shown her realization because that almost smile deepened. "Now you know," he said. Lena's throat felt tight. "I should go." He gestured toward her table. "Your friend looks concerned." She turned. Maya's face had gone pale, her earlier excitement replaced by something close to panic. Around them, other diners were very carefully not looking in their direction, which somehow felt worse than staring. Lena walked back on autopilot, her mind spinning. "What the hell were you thinking?" Maya grabbed her wrist the second she sat down. "Do you know who that is?" "I do now." "We need to leave, right now." "He didn't do anything. That's not how this works." Maya was already signaling for the check. "People like Victor Armin don't forget. They don't let things slide. You just..." She pressed her fingers to her temples. "We need to go." But when Lena glanced back at the corner booth, it was empty. The check came. Maya threw down cash without counting it. They were halfway to the door when a hostess stepped into their path. "Excuse me, Ms. Hayes?" Lena's stomach dropped. "Yes?" "Mr. Armin asked me to give you this." She held out a small black card. Matte finish. No logo, just a phone number embossed in silver. "I can't accept that." "He said you'd say that." The hostess pressed it into her palm anyway. "He also said there's no obligation, just a choice." Then she was gone, and Lena was standing in the middle of Aurelio's holding what felt like a live grenade. "Throw it away," Maya said. "Right now." Lena stared at the number, 10 digits that somehow felt like they carried more weight than they should. "Lena, throw it away." She slipped it into her purse. Maya made a sound between a groan and a prayer. "You're going to get us killed." "Don't be dramatic." "Me." "Dramatic? You just sat on Victor Armin's lap." "Victor Armin, do you understand what people say about him?" "I understand rumors." "Where there's smoke, there's usually just more rumors." Lena pushed through the restaurant doors into the cool night air. Her hands were shaking. She shoved them in her pockets. It was 3 seconds. He'll forget about it by tomorrow. But she didn't believe that. Couldn't shake the feeling of his hand on her hip, steady and sure. The way he'd looked at her, not angry, not predatory, but curious. Like she was a puzzle he'd decided to solve. They got into Maya's car. Neither spoke for the first 10 minutes. Finally, Maya said, "Are you going to call him?" "No." "Lena." "I'm not." She meant it, mostly. "It was stupid. I'm putting it behind me." "Good. Because I Googled him at a red light, and the first article is about a hostile takeover that destroyed 3 companies and... Are you even listening?" Lena was staring out the window, watching the city lights blur past. Somewhere out there, Victor Armin was probably already back to whatever powerful people did with their evenings. Already forgotten about the girl who'd interrupted his dinner with a drunk dare. Except she couldn't shake the feeling that wasn't true. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "You made quite an impression tonight." Her heart stopped. "Maya." "What?" She showed her the screen. Maya swerved hard enough that a car behind them honked. "How does he have your number? You didn't give him your number." "I didn't." "Then how?" Maya's face went white. "He found it. In the time it took us to get the check, he found your number." "Maybe it's not him." "Right, because you get mysterious texts from unknown numbers all the time after sitting on billionaires' laps." Lena stared at the message. Her thumbs hovered over the keyboard. She should block the number. Delete the card, pretend tonight never happened. Instead, she typed, "Was that supposed to be a compliment?" The response came before Maya could start lecturing again, a statement of fact. "How did you get this number? Does it matter?" "Yes." "No." She didn't know. Her pulse was doing things it had no business doing. "What do you want?" The typing indicator appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Finally, "To know if you're as interesting as I think you are." "Oh my God," Maya breathed, reading over her shoulder. "He's flirting with you. Victor Armin is flirting with you. We're going to die." Stop saying that. What are you going to say? Lena's finger hovers over the screen. Every rational cell in her brain screamed to shut this down. Block him. Move apartments. Change her name. But underneath the fear was something else. Something that had been dormant for months. The part of her that Daniel had tried to suffocate. The part that made reckless dares and sat on strangers' laps and refused to play it safe. She typed, "That depends on whether you're as dangerous as people say." This time, the response was immediate. More. One word. But it felt like a door opening, or a trap snapping shut. She couldn't tell which. "Lena, please." Maya's voice had lost its panic, replaced by genuine worry. "I know you've been in a weird place since Daniel, but this isn't the answer. This guy could what? He hasn't done anything wrong. Yet. Maybe he won't. And maybe I'm going to spontaneously grow wings." Maya pulled up to Lena's apartment. "Promise me you'll think about this. Really think about it." "I promise." "It was only half a lie." Lena got out, waved Maya off, and climbed the stairs to her second-floor walk-up. The building was old but clean, the kind of place that felt safe without being expensive. Home? Normal. Everything Victor Arman's world probably wasn't. She unlocked her door, kicked off her heels, and was halfway to the kitchen when she saw it. A box on her counter. Black. Sleek. The kind of packaging that whispered money. Her apartment had been locked. She lived alone. No one had a key except Maya, and Maya had been with her all night. Lena's hand shook as she approached it. There was a card on top. Heavy stock. The same matte black as the card in her purse. She opened it. "You wore black tonight. I thought you might like these more." Inside the box was a pair of shoes. Heels. Deep emerald green that seemed to shift in the light. She lifted one out. The leather was butter soft, the craftsmanship obvious even to her untrained eye. She checked the sole. Her size. Exactly her size. A cold feeling spread through her chest. How long had it been since she'd left the restaurant? An hour? Less? In that time, Victor Arman had found her number, her address, learned her shoe size, and somehow gotten into her locked apartment to leave a gift that probably cost more than her monthly rent. This wasn't flirting. This was a demonstration. "I can find you anywhere. I can get to you whenever I want. There's nowhere you can go that I can't reach." Her phone buzzed again. "Before you panic, your locks are still secure. I had them delivered while you were at dinner. Your landlord was very helpful." Another message. "The green will suit you." And then, "Sleep well, Lena Hayes." She stood in her kitchen, holding a shoe that probably cost more than her car, and tried to decide if she should be terrified or thrilled. Both, she realized. She felt both. She set the shoe down carefully and pulled out the black card, stared at the number. Her thumb traced the embossed digits. One call. That's all it would take to step into whatever this was. Or she could throw the card away, donate the shoes, and go back to her safe, boring, normal life. Daniel's voice echoed in her memory. "You're so predictable, Lena. You never take risks. That's why you'll never be anything special." She'd spent months proving him wrong, proving she could be independent, strong, complete on her own. But maybe being strong didn't mean being safe. Maybe it meant choosing her own risks instead of avoiding them altogether. Before she could overthink it, she grabbed her phone and typed, "Thank you for the shoes. But I don't accept gifts from strangers. We're not strangers anymore." "You sat on my lap. I'd say that's at least acquaintance level." Despite everything, the breaking and entering, the casual display of power, the sheer insanity of this entire situation, she smiled. "Acquaintances don't break into each other's apartments." "I didn't break in. I used the door." "That's not better." Noted. "Would you prefer I leave future gifts at your office?" Her breath caught. "How do you know where I work?" "The same way I know you take your coffee black. You haven't spoken to your mother in 3 years, and you broke up with Daniel Cross 6 months ago after he tried to access your email for the 4th time." The room spun. That information, most of it wasn't online. Some of it only Maya knew, which meant he'd dug deep. Deeper than a Google search. Deeper than public records. "This is insane." "Yes. You can't just—" "I know. Then why are you doing this?" The typing indicator appeared. Stayed there. She watched it, her heart hammering, until finally his response came through. "Because you're the first person in 10 years who's surprised me." And I find I don't want that feeling to end yet. Honest. Completely, disarmingly honest. She should hang up, block him, call the police, something. Instead, she wrote, "What do you want from me? Dinner. Tomorrow night. Somewhere public. You choose the place, and if I say no, then I'll respect that and disappear. You'll never hear from me again. The shoes are yours regardless." She read the message 3 times, looking for the trap, the threat, the thing that would prove Maya right, that this was dangerous and she needed to run. But all she found was an offer, a choice. "Why should I trust you?" "You shouldn't. But you're going to anyway." The presumption of it should have made her angry. Instead, it made her feel seen in a way that was both uncomfortable and intoxicating. Because he was right. She was going to say yes, had been going to say yes from the moment she'd seen that almost smile in the restaurant. "One dinner, public place. I leave when I want to leave. Agreed. And you stop breaking into my apartment. I didn't—" "Victor." A pause. Then, "Agreed. Tomorrow. 7. I'll text you the address. I'll be there." She set the phone down and looked at the shoes. Emerald green, bold, nothing like the safe blacks and neutrals that filled her closet. She picked one up again, feeling the weight of it. In the morning, she'd probably regret this. Would wake up and realize she'd agreed to have dinner with a man who demonstrated he could access every private corner of her life, who had the power and resources to destroy her if he wanted. But tonight, standing in her kitchen with her heart racing and her mind spinning, she felt more alive than she had in months. Her phone buzzed one last time. "For what it's worth, I'm looking forward to tomorrow." She typed back before she could stop herself. "So am I." Touch. Across the city, in an office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the glittering skyline, Victor Armand set down his phone and smiled. It wasn't the predatory smile his business rivals feared. It wasn't the cold smile he gave at board meetings. It was something he'd almost forgotten he could feel, genuine anticipation. "You wanted to see me, sir?" Victor turned. Marcus, his head of security, stood in the doorway. Efficient as always, loyal to a fault. "The file on Lena Hayes, what did you find?" Marcus pulled out a tablet, swiping through screens. 28. Marketing director at Meridian Group. Earned the promotion 8 months ago through actual merit, not connections. No criminal record, no debt beyond student loans and a car payment. Previous relationship with Daniel Cross ended 6 months ago. By all accounts, she initiated the breakup after he tried to control her, Victor finished. He'd read that part of the report 3 times. What else? Close friend, Maya Chen. They've known each other since college. Parents divorced when she was 16. Father remarried and moved to Arizona. Mother lives in the city, but they're estranged. No siblings. Marcus hesitated. Sir, if I may ask, why the interest? She's not connected to any of our ventures. She has no access to information or resources we need. She's just what? Ordinary. No offense intended. Victor looked back at the window, at the city that bent to his will. Ordinary. Yes, by Marcus's standards, Lena Hayes was completely ordinary. She didn't run in their circles, didn't have the pedigree or connections or calculated charm of the women he usually encountered at functions and fundraisers. But she'd sat on his lap, not seductively, not strategically, but because of a dare, because her friend had challenged her and some wild part of her had said yes. She'd been terrified. He'd felt her pulse racing beneath his hand, but she'd done it anyway. And when she'd looked at him, there'd been no calculation in her eyes. No angle. Just genuine shock when she'd realized who he was. In his world, everyone wanted something. Every interaction was a transaction. Every conversation had an agenda. Even the women who pursued him did so with spreadsheet precision, weighing the benefits of his name, his money, his power. Lena Hayes had wanted nothing from him, had in fact tried to leave the moment she'd realized who he was. That kind of authenticity was rare, precious, dangerous to her if he wasn't careful. Pull her detail, Victor said. Marcus blinked. Sir, the security team you assigned to watch her building. Pull them. But if there's any threat, she's not an asset to be protected. She's a person making a choice. Victor turned to face his head of security. And that choice needs to be real. If she says yes to dinner, I need to know it's because she wants to, not because she feels trapped or watched. With respect, sir, that's not how you usually operate. No, Victor agreed, it's not, which was precisely why this felt different, important, like standing at the edge of something he couldn't predict or control, and for once, not wanting to. Send the team home. Standard city monitoring only, nothing specific to her. And Marcus? Victor's voice hardened slightly. If word of this gets out, if her name appears in any gossip column or gets connected to mine in any way that makes her a target, I'll hold you personally responsible. Marcus nodded slowly. Understood, sir. After he left, Victor poured himself 2 fingers of scotch and stood at the window. The city spread out below him like a game board. Every building, every street, every light represented something he owned or controlled or could acquire if he wanted. But Lena Hayes? She was none of those things. And somehow, that made her the most interesting thing he'd encountered in years. His phone rang, private line. Only a handful of people had the number. Armin, I heard you had an interesting evening. The voice was smooth, amused. Ethan Crow, rival, occasional business partner, perpetual thorn in his side. News travels fast. When Victor Armin lets a woman sit on his lap in the middle of Aurelio's, that's not news, that's legend. Ethan chuckled. Who is she? None of your concern. Come now, I'm just curious. It's not like you to make spectacles. I didn't make a spectacle, she did. Even better, I like her already. A pause. Does she know what she's getting into? She will. That sounds ominous. Victor's grip tightened on his glass. Ethan had a talent for finding pressure points and pressing them, for taking something simple and twisting it into leverage. Stay away from her, Ethan. Why would I go near her unless… Another pause, this one calculated. Unless she's more important than you're letting on. In which case, how could I resist meeting the woman who finally caught the great Victor Armin's attention? I'm not warning you again. Relax, I'm just making conversation. But his tone suggested otherwise. Enjoy your dinner tomorrow, 7 o'clock at… Where did she choose anyway? Victor hung up. Then he made another call. I need additional security, discreet, not on the subject, around her. Wide perimeter. Anyone takes an unusual interest, I want to know immediately. Because if Ethan knew about Lena, others would too. And in his world, anything Victor cared about became a potential weapon against him. He should cancel, should send a polite message saying something had come up, ghost back into the shadows of her life, let her return to her ordinary existence. But he knew he wouldn't, couldn't. For better or worse, Lena Hayes had done something no one else had managed in a decade. She'd made him want something beyond power and profit. She'd made him want to be surprised again. Lena didn't sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of the evening. The dare. The walk across the restaurant. The feeling of Victor's hand on her hip. Steadying, not grabbing. His voice. You're either very brave or you have no idea who I am. Both, she thought now. Definitely both. Her phone sat on the nightstand, dark and silent. No more messages from Victor. He'd said his piece and backed off, leaving the next move to her. That restraint should have been reassuring. Instead, it made her more nervous, because it meant this was real. He wasn't playing games or trying to manipulate her. He'd made an offer and was genuinely waiting for her answer, which meant she had to decide what she actually wanted. At 3 a.m., she gave up on sleep and made tea. Chamomile. Her mother used to make it when Lena couldn't sleep as a kid, back before everything fell apart. She sat at her kitchen table and pulled out her laptop, typed Victor Armin into the search bar. The results were overwhelming. Hundreds of articles. Profiles in Forbes, Fortune, Bloomberg, photographs at charity galas, always alone or with business partners, never anyone who looked like a date. Speculation about his net worth, numbers with so many zeros they stopped meaning anything. But also, rumors, whispers about how he'd built his empire, competitors who'd suddenly sold at a loss, regulations that had mysteriously shifted in his favor. Nothing concrete, nothing proven. Just smoke. Where there's smoke, Maya had said. Lena clicked through to an interview from 2 years ago. The journalist had asked about his reputation. People fear what they don't understand, Victor had said. I've never made a threat I didn't keep or a promise I didn't honor. If that makes me dangerous, so be it. Never a threat he didn't keep. That should terrify her. Instead, she found herself reading it as honesty. He didn't pretend to be safe, didn't hide behind false charm or calculated friendliness. He was exactly what he appeared to be: powerful, controlled, and willing to use both when necessary. At least she'd know where she stood. Unlike with Daniel, who'd hidden his controlling nature behind concern and love, until she was so tangled up in it, she'd almost forgotten what freedom felt like. Her phone buzzed. 3:47 a.m. Maya, please tell me you're not actually considering this. Lena, can't sleep? Maya, can't stop thinking about my best friend making terrible life choices. Lena, it's just dinner. Maya, with Victor Armin. Maya, do you know what I found when I kept Googling? Maya, companies that tried to compete with him don't just lose Maya, they vanish. Lena, that's business. Maya, that's terrifying. Maya, please, I'm begging you, cancel. Lena stared at the messages. Maya was right to be worried. This was insane, reckless, exactly the kind of thing that could blow up her nice, normal, rebuilt life. But when was the last time she'd felt this alive? Lena, I'll be careful, I promise. Maya, that's not good enough. Maya, but I know you're going to do this anyway. Maya, so I'm coming to your place at 5 p.m. tomorrow to help you get ready. Maya, and I'm tracking your location the entire time, Maya. And I'm giving you a code word. If you text me pineapple, I'm calling the cops. Despite everything, Lena smiled. Lena, pineapple? Really? Maya, no one says pineapple in normal conversation. Maya, promise me you'll use it if things get weird. Lena, I promise, Maya, I love you, and you're an idiot. Lena, love you too. She set the phone down and looked at the emerald shoes, still sitting on her counter where she'd left them. Bold, beautiful, nothing she would have chosen for herself. But maybe that was the point. Maybe she was tired of choosing the safe thing, the expected thing, the thing that kept her small and contained and completely, absolutely ordinary. Victor Armin had seen her for 3 seconds and decided she was worth pursuing, not for her connections or her looks or what she could do for him, but because she'd surprised him. When was the last time anyone had looked at her like that? She picked up the shoes and carried them to her bedroom, set them by the closet where she'd see them first thing in the morning. One dinner, public place. She could leave whenever she wanted. What was the worst that could happen? Everything, a voice in her head whispered. Everything could happen, but maybe, just maybe, something amazing could happen instead. She climbed back into bed and finally slept, and dreamed of gray eyes and steady hands and the feeling of standing at the edge of a cliff, about to jump. The morning came too fast and too slow all at once. Lena woke to sunlight cutting through her curtains and the immediate, visceral memory of what she'd agreed to. Her stomach twisted. Not quite nausea, not quite excitement. Something in between that felt like standing at the top of a roller coaster, watching the ground drop away. She reached for her phone. No new messages from Victor. Good. She needed space to think without his gravity pulling at her. What she found instead made her breath catch. 17 missed calls, all from the same number. Daniel. Her ex-boyfriend's name felt like a slap. She'd blocked him on everything 6 months ago. Phone, social media, email, changed her number twice. How the hell did he get this one? The voicemails started at 2 a.m. Lena, it's me. I know you don't want to talk, but I need to see you. It's important. She deleted it, moved to the next. I heard you've been making some interesting friends. We should talk about that. Call me back. Her hand tightened on the phone. Interesting friends. He knew about Victor. How could he possibly know about Victor? The third message was different. His voice had an edge to it, that familiar thread of control wrapped in false concern. You don't know what you're getting into, Lena. I'm trying to help you. Call me, please. She threw the phone onto the bed like it had burned her. Daniel Cross. The man who'd spent 2 years slowly suffocating her under the guise of love, who'd isolated her from friends, monitored her location, gone through her emails looking for proof of an affair that existed only in his paranoid mind. She'd spent 6 months rebuilding herself after finally escaping him, and now he was back. Because of course he was. The phone rang again, Daniel's number. She answered before she could stop herself. How did you get this number? Lena, thank God. I've been trying to reach you. How did you get this number? A pause. She could picture him on the other end, recalibrating. He'd always been good at that, reading her tone and adjusting his approach. I still have friends at Meridian, he said finally. Someone in HR. That's illegal. I was worried about you. You don't get to worry about me anymore. We're done. We've been done. I know. And I respect that. I do. But Lena, I saw you last night at Aurelio's. Ice spread through her veins. You were following me? I was having dinner with clients. You walked right past our table. His voice dropped, took on that intimate quality that used to make her feel special and now just made her skin crawl. I saw what you did. Who you sat with. Do you have any idea how dangerous that was? That's none of your business. Victor Armand is not someone you want to get involved with. Trust me on this. I don't trust you on anything. Lena, delete this number. Don't call me again. If you contact me or show up at my work, I'm filing a restraining order. She hung up. Her hands were shaking. The phone immediately started ringing again. She blocked the number, knowing it wouldn't matter. Daniel was resourceful, obsessive. He'd find another way to reach her. He always did. The morning suddenly felt contaminated. She'd woken up thinking about Victor, about dinner, about possibilities. Now all she could think about was Daniel's voice, that false concern masking the control underneath. You don't know what you're getting into. Maybe she didn't. But she knew she wasn't going to let Daniel dictate her choices anymore. Her phone buzzed. For a 6 seconds, she thought it was him again, but the number was different. Unknown. Good morning. I hope you slept well. Victor. The tension in her shoulders eased slightly. Okay, I guess. You? I don't sleep much. Guilty conscience? Something like that. She smiled despite herself. Then remembered Daniel's calls and the smile faded. Can I ask you something? Anything. Last night at the restaurant. Did you see anyone else watching? Someone who seemed focused on me? The response took longer this time. When it came, it was careful. Why? She hesitated. Involving Victor in her Daniel situation felt like crossing a line, like admitting she needed help. But the alternative was pretending nothing was wrong, and she'd done enough of that during her relationship to last a lifetime. My ex called me 17 times last night. Said he saw me at Aurelio's. Said I don't know what I'm getting into with you. Your ex is Daniel Cross. It wasn't a question. Of course Victor knew. He'd probably known before he'd sent the first text. Yes. Has he contacted you before? Since the breakup? I've blocked him everywhere. Changed my number twice. He keeps finding ways around it. Another long pause. She could almost feel Victor's mind working through the implications. Do you feel unsafe? The question was direct. No games, no assumptions, just asking what she needed. I don't know. He's never been physically violent. But he's persistent, controlling. He doesn't like not getting what he wants. Neither do I. But there's a difference between persistence and harassment. Which side do you fall on? I'd like to think I can tell when someone actually wants me to stop. Fair enough. She told him to stop breaking into her apartment and he'd agreed. Told him her terms for dinner and he'd accepted without argument. That was more respect than Daniel had shown her in 2 years. Are we still on for tonight? If you still want to be, I do. But Victor? If Daniel shows up, he won't. The certainty in those 2 words should have worried her. Instead, it felt like relief. How can you be sure? Because I'm going to call him, and we're going to have a conversation about boundaries. You don't have to do that. I know. Then why? Because you asked me if you were safe, and I want the answer to be yes. Lena sat on her bed, phone in hand, trying to reconcile the man everyone said was dangerous with the one who was offering to run interference with her ex because she'd asked a question. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. He might not listen, but you're going to try anyway. Yes. Something warm spread through her chest. Not love, too soon for that, but maybe the beginning of trust. The sense that Victor meant what he said and said what he meant, even when what he meant was terrifying. I should get ready for work. What do you do? At Meridian. Marketing. I run campaigns for tech clients mostly. Strategy, execution, damage control when launches go sideways. You're good at it. How would you know? I looked at your portfolio. The campaign you ran for Apex Systems last year increased their market share by 18%. You really did your homework. I told you. You surprised me. I wanted to understand why. And do you? Understand why? I'm starting to. She wanted to ask what that meant. Wanted to push for details, for clarity, for some kind of roadmap of what this was becoming. But her alarm was going off, and she had a strategy meeting at 9, and real life was intruding on whatever strange space she and Victor had created between texts. I have to go. Work. Tonight. 7. You still haven't told me where. She thought about it. Somewhere public, somewhere she'd feel safe, somewhere that wasn't trying to impress him or match his world. Rosie's. It's a bistro on 7th. Nothing fancy. Perfect. Really? You don't strike me as a bistro kind of person. You'd be surprised what kind of person I am. I hope so. She sent it before she could overthink it, then grabbed her work clothes and headed for the shower, trying not to think about the fact that she'd just flirted with one of the most powerful men in the city while her ex-boyfriend was apparently stalking her. Normal people didn't have mornings like this. But then again, she'd stopped being normal the moment she'd accepted that dare. Work was a disaster. Lena couldn't focus. Every time her phone buzzed, she jumped, half expecting Daniel, half hoping for Victor. Neither happened. Just the usual stream of emails and Slack messages and meeting reminders. At lunch, Maya cornered her in the break room. You look like hell. Good morning to you too. Maya grabbed her arm, dragged her into the corner away from the coffee machine and the two developers arguing about syntax. What happened? Did he cancel? Did he do something creepy? I swear if he... Daniel called me. 17 times. Maya's face went white. What? Lena filled her in. The voicemails. The claim that he'd seen her at Aurelio's. The warning about Victor. That's it, Maya said. You're staying at my place, and we're calling the police. And tell them what? He called me? They'll say to block the number. He got your private number from your employer. That's hard to prove. It'll be my word against whoever gave it to him, and they'll deny everything. Lena rubbed her temples. I've been through this before, remember? After the breakup, when he kept showing up at my apartment, the cops said unless he threatens me or tries to physically harm me, there's nothing they can do. So what? You just let him harass you? No. I'm handling it. Maya's eyes narrowed. How? Victor's going to talk to him. Oh my God, Lena. No. What? You can't just... You don't send a man like Victor Arman after your ex. That's not handling it. That's declaring war. I didn't send him. He offered. Because he knows it'll scare the hell out of Daniel. Which it will. And then Daniel will either back off or do something stupid. And either way, you're in the middle of it. Lena wanted to argue, but Maya had a point. Involving Victor was escalating things. But what was the alternative? Keep blocking numbers until Daniel ran out of phones? Keep looking over her shoulder, waiting for him to show up? I'm tired of being scared, she said quietly. I spent 2 years walking on eggshells with Daniel, and 6 months looking over my shoulder after. I just want it to stop. Maya's expression softened. She pulled Lena into a hug. I know you do, but please be careful. Both of these guys, they're not normal. They don't operate by normal rules. Maybe that's what I need, someone who doesn't play by normal rules. Or maybe it's what gets you hurt. Before Lena could respond, her phone buzzed. She pulled away from Maya and checked the screen. Victor, I spoke with Daniel. He won't be contacting you again. Her stomach flipped. He already talked to him. What did he say? Lena showed her the text. Maya groaned. That was fast, too fast. What did he do? I don't know. Another text came through. Victor, he wanted me to tell you he's sorry for bothering you, that he respects your choices and won't interfere again. Lena, just like that? Victor, just like that. Lena, what did you say to him? Victor, the truth, that you've moved on, that continuing to pursue you would be unwise. Lena, unwise and... Victor, I may have implied that I have a personal interest in your well-being and that I don't appreciate people who make you uncomfortable. Oh my God, Maya breathed, reading over her shoulder. He threatened him. He didn't threaten him. He just implied consequences. That's literally what a threat is. But Lena's phone was buzzing again. Different number. She didn't recognize it. Unknown number, she told Maya. Don't answer it. She answered it. Lena Hayes? A woman's voice. Professional, unfamiliar. Who is this? My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm an attorney. I represent Daniel Cross. Lena's blood went cold. Excuse me? Mr. Cross has asked me to contact you regarding a restraining order. He's filing a restraining order against me? No, Ms. Hayes. He's informing you that if you continue to have third parties contact him with threatening messages, he'll be forced to pursue legal action. Lena laughed. Actually laughed. Are you kidding me right now? I assure you, Ms. Hayes, this is quite serious. Mr. Cross has documentation of harassment from an associate of yours, a Mr. Victor Arman. The messages were highly threatening in nature, and Daniel has been calling me obsessively for months. I've blocked him repeatedly. He obtained my private phone number illegally through my employer, and now he's threatening me with legal action because someone told him to back off. A pause. I'm not aware of any harassment on Mr. Cross's part. Of course you're not. He didn't tell you that part, did he? Ms. Hayes, I'm simply conveying my client's message. If you persist in, tell your client that if he contacts me again, I'll be the one filing the restraining order. And I have 17 voicemails and multiple blocked numbers to prove a pattern of harassment. Have a good day. She hung up. Her hand was shaking so hard she nearly dropped the phone. What the hell? Maya grabbed her shoulders. What did Victor say to him? I don't know, but apparently it was threatening enough that Daniel lawyered up. Her phone buzzed. Victor. Victor. Daniel's attorney just called me. Apparently I've been threatening him. Lena. What exactly did you say? Victor. That you've asked him to stop contacting you, that I've taken a personal interest in ensuring you're not harassed, that continued contact would reflect poorly on his judgment. Lena. That's it? Victor. I may have mentioned that I have connections in his industry, and that people who make my friends uncomfortable tend to find their professional lives challenging. Lena stared at the message. That was a threat, a clear, direct threat wrapped in professional language. She should be horrified. Should tell Victor to back off, that she could handle her own problems. Instead, she felt a surge of vindication, because Daniel was finally experiencing what it felt like to be harassed by someone with more power, to feel trapped and controlled and unable to escape. Maybe that made her a bad person. She didn't care. Lena. His lawyer said he'll sue if you keep harassing him. Victor. Let him try. Discovery would be interesting. Lena. Meaning? Victor. Meaning I have documentation of every time he's contacted you in the past 6 months, every blocked number, every time he accessed your personnel file at Meridian. Funny what IT departments will share when asked nicely. Maya grabbed the phone out of her hand, read the messages, looked at Lena with something between awe and terror. He's serious. He's actually going to war with your ex. I didn't ask him to. But you're not asking him to stop. No, she wasn't. Because for the first time in months, she didn't feel like Daniel's target. She felt protected, safe, like someone was finally in her corner instead of telling her to be reasonable, to not make waves, to just ignore him, and he'd eventually go away. Lena. Thank you. Victor. You already thanked me. Lena. I mean it more now. Victor. Are we still on for tonight, or has this complicated things? Had it? She thought about Daniel's lawyer, about the way Victor had casually mentioned destroying someone's professional life like it was nothing, about the power he wielded so effortlessly it barely registered as effort. That should scare her. It did scare her, but not enough to make her want to walk away. Lena. Still on. Rosie's at 7. Victor. I'll be there. You're really doing this, Maya said. Yeah, I really am. Even though he just threatened your ex's entire career, Daniel spent 2 years trying to destroy mine. Forgive me if I don't feel too bad about it. Maya was quiet for a long moment. Then she sighed. Okay, fine. If you're doing this, we're doing it right. My place at 5. I'm picking your outfit and doing your makeup, and you're wearing the damn green shoes. I don't need oh, yes you do. Because if you're going to have dinner with someone like Victor Arman, you're not going to show up looking like you're apologizing for existing. Despite everything, the stress, the fear, the absolute insanity of her situation, Lena smiled. Thanks, Maya. Don't thank me. Just promise you'll text me every 30 minutes, and that you'll actually use the code word if things get weird. Pineapple, I remember. Good. Now go pretend to work. I'll pick you up at 4:30. The rest of the day crawled by. Lena sat through meetings without hearing a word, responded to emails on autopilot, stared at her computer screen and saw only gray eyes and steady hands, and the careful way Victor had said, "You asked me if you were safe." At 4, her phone rang. Not a text, an actual call from Victor's number. She stepped into an empty conference room and answered. "Hello? Lena." His voice sounded different over the phone, lower, more intimate. "I wanted to hear your voice before tonight." Her pulse jumped. "Why?" "To make sure you're okay. Today's been complicated." That's one word for it. "I may have overstepped. With Daniel." "Did you?" "I don't know. That's why I'm asking. If I pushed too hard, if I made things worse instead of better, I need you to tell me." The honesty in his voice caught her off guard. He wasn't apologizing, wasn't defending himself, just asking for her truth. "You didn't make things worse," she said. "He's been harassing me for months and nobody believed it was serious enough to matter. You took me seriously. That means something." "Good." A pause. His lawyer called again. "Apparently they're dropping the harassment claim." "Really?" "Turns out Daniel has some professional complications he needs to focus on instead. Nothing related to me, of course. Just an unexpected audit from his company's compliance department. Very thorough people, compliance officers." Lena's breath caught. "You didn't." "I made a phone call, mentioned some irregularities I'd heard about, that's all. What they found after that was entirely their own investigation." "Victor, he was accessing your private information illegally, Lena, multiple times. That's not just harassment, it's a crime. I simply made sure the right people knew about it." She should be shocked, horrified. This was exactly the kind of ruthless power play that made people fear him. Instead, she felt seen, protected, like someone had finally taken her side instead of telling her to be the bigger person. "Thank you," she said quietly. "You keep saying that. You keep giving me reasons to. I'm not a good man, Lena. I want you to understand that before tonight." "Why?" "Because you're going to hear things about me. Stories. Most of them are true. And I don't want you to feel blindsided when you realize who I actually am." "Who are you?" "Someone who gets what he wants, who doesn't stop until the job is done, who uses every tool at his disposal, legal, financial, social, to win." He paused. "Someone who very rarely cares about collateral damage." "But you care now." "Yes." "Why?" "I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out." The honesty of it was staggering. He wasn't trying to charm her or win her over with false modesty. He was telling her exactly what he was and letting her decide if she could handle it. "I'm still coming to dinner," she said. "Even knowing all that?" "Especially knowing all that. Because at least you're honest about it. At least you don't pretend to be something you're not." "That's a low bar? You'd be surprised how many people can't clear it." He laughed. Actually laughed. The sound was warm, genuine, nothing like the controlled politeness she'd heard from him before. "I'm looking forward to tonight," he said. "So am I. Rosie's at 7. Don't be late." "I'm never late." She hung up and leaned against the conference room wall, heart racing. Maya was right. This was insane. Victor Armin had just casually mentioned destroying her ex's career like it was a minor inconvenience, had admitted to being ruthless and dangerous and utterly unconcerned about collateral damage. And she was still going to dinner. Because underneath the power and the threats and the casual manipulation, there was something else. Something real. The way he'd asked if he'd overstepped. The way he'd given her every reason to walk away instead of trying to convince her to stay. He wasn't trying to control her. He was trying to clear the path so she could choose freely. That was the difference. That was what made this feel different from Daniel, from every other man who'd tried to shape her into what they wanted instead of accepting what she was. Victor saw her, really saw her, and instead of trying to change her, he was simply asking if she wanted to see him too. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number again. Her stomach tightened, but the message wasn't from Daniel. "Ms. Hayes, this is Marcus Chen from Armand Security. Mr. Armin asked me to provide you with my direct contact. If you experience any issues with anyone, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'll be monitoring your location this evening for your safety. You won't see me, but I'll be close." A phone number followed. Then another message. This is purely precautionary. Mr. Armin wants you to feel safe. If you'd prefer I not monitor your location, please let me know and I'll stand down immediately. Lena stared at the message. Security. Victor had assigned her security. That should feel invasive, controlling. Instead, it felt like insurance, like he was making sure nothing could touch her without her permission. She typed back, "Thank you, Marcus. I appreciate it." The response was immediate. "My pleasure, Ms. Hayes. Have a good evening." She walked back to her desk in a daze. This was her life now. Security details. Ex-boyfriends facing compliance audits. Dinner dates with men who could ruin lives with a phone call. 6 months ago, she'd been fighting for scraps of independence from Daniel. Now she was stepping into a world where power moved like water, and she was somehow at the center of it. Maya picked her up at 4:30 on the dot. "Get in. We have 2.5 hours to make you look like you belong in his world." "I don't belong in his world." "Exactly. Which is why we're making sure you look so good he forgets he has a world." They drove to Maya's apartment, a one-bedroom in a building that had probably been nice in the 90s. Maya immediately pulled Lena into the bathroom and started organizing makeup like she was preparing for surgery. "Tell me everything that happened after lunch." Lena filled her in. Victor's call, the lawyer backing off, the security detail. Maya's hand stilled on the eyeshadow palette. "He assigned you security, just for tonight." "That's not normal, Lena. Normal guys don't have security teams to assign." "I know. And you're still going." "I know." Maya sighed and picked up an eyeliner pencil. "Okay, then let's make sure you look unforgettable. Close your eyes." For the next hour, Maya worked with the focused intensity of someone defusing a bomb. Lena sat still and let her, grateful to have something to do besides think about what she was walking into. "You're nervous," Maya said, blending something across her cheekbones. "Wouldn't you be?" "Terrified, but also curious. What's he like, really? Not the public image or the rumors. What's he like when it's just you?" Lena thought about it. The texts, the phone call, the way he'd asked if he'd overstepped instead of assuming he was right. "Careful," she said finally. Like every word is chosen for maximum impact, but also honest, almost brutally so. He doesn't try to make himself sound better than he is. "That's rare." "I know." "Do you trust him?" "I don't know him well enough to trust him." "That's not what I asked." Lena opened her eyes. Maya was watching her with that expression she got when she was trying to solve a puzzle. "I trust that he'll tell me the truth," Lena said, "even if the truth is ugly." "And that's enough?" "For now, yeah, it is." Maya nodded slowly. "Okay, then let's make sure you knock him dead. Put on the green shoes." Lena went to the bedroom where Maya had laid out the emerald heels. Next to them was a dress, simple black, the same one she'd worn last night, because Maya insisted it had worked once and they shouldn't mess with success. She put it on, added the green shoes, looked at herself in the full-length mirror. The woman staring back at her looked bold, confident. Nothing like the careful, controlled version of herself she'd maintained for the past 6 months. Maya appeared in the doorway. "Holy hell, you look dangerous." "I look scared." "Same thing." Maya grabbed her shoulders, turned her to face the mirror again. "Look at yourself. Really look. That's not the woman who let Daniel control her. That's not the woman who plays it safe. That's someone who sat on a stranger's lap on a dare and changed her entire world." Lena stared at her reflection. Maya was right. The scared part was there, but so was something else. Something fierce. "Don't let him own you," Maya said quietly. "But don't run just because you're scared either. Figure out what you actually want. Then choose that." "What if I don't know what I want?" "Then tonight's a good time to find out." At 6:30, Lena's phone buzzed. "Victor, I'm leaving now. See you soon." Her stomach flipped. This was real. Actually happening. Maya handed her a small purse. "Phone, ID credit card, pepper spray." "Pepper spray?" "Just in case. And remember, text me every 30 minutes. If I don't hear from you, I'm sending the cavalry." "The cavalry being?" "Me and my loudest voice calling every cop in the city." Lena hugged her. "Thank you for everything." "Don't thank me until you survive the night. Now go." "And Lena?" Maya pulled back, serious. "If at any point this doesn't feel right, you leave. I don't care if he's charming or intimidating or whatever. You leave. I will. Promise. I promise. Lena walked out into the evening air. The city hummed around her, cars and voices and the million small sounds of people living their lives. Normal people with normal problems. She wasn't normal anymore. She caught a cab to Rosie's, watching the streets slide past. The bistro was in a neighborhood she knew well. Local places, family-owned shops, the kind of area where everyone knew everyone. Safe, familiar. The cab pulled up at 6:55. She paid, stepped out, and stood on the sidewalk for a moment, gathering herself. Through the window, she could see Rosie's interior. Warm lighting, mismatched chairs, nothing like the sleek elegance of Aurelio's. This was her world, her choice. A black car pulled up to the curb. Not a limo, too obvious, just an expensive sedan with tinted windows. The back door opened. Victor stepped out. He dressed down. Dark jeans, simple button-down, no tie. He looked normal. Almost. If you ignored the way he moved, like every gesture was calculated. The way his eyes scanned the street, cataloging exits and threats before they landed on her. Lena. Victor. They stood there for a moment, 3 feet apart, the street humming around them. His expression shifted. Surprise, appreciation, something that looked almost like relief. You came. You thought I wouldn't? I thought you'd realize who I am and decide the risk wasn't worth it. Maybe I like risks. That almost smile appeared. That's what I'm counting on. He offered his arm. She took it, and together they walked into Rosie's, where the real conversation and the real danger was about to begin. The hostess at Rosie's did a double take when they walked in. Her eyes went wide, then carefully neutral in that way people did when they recognized someone they'd only seen in business magazines. She grabbed 2 menus without asking how many in their party. Right this way. She led them past the small bar where 3 regulars nursed beers and watched a baseball game, past tables full of couples and families, to a corner booth in the back, private without being isolated. Lena had eaten here dozens of times. Never once had she been seated in this particular spot. Your server will be right with you, the hostess said, setting down the menus with hands that trembled slightly. Victor waited until Lena slid into the booth before sitting across from her. The space between them felt charged, like the air before a thunderstorm. You're making her nervous, Lena said. I make most people nervous. Does that bother you? Usually, no. Tonight, yes. He looked at her directly. I don't want you to be nervous. Too late. Of me or the situation. Both, neither. I don't know yet. She fiddled with her napkin, then forced herself to stop. This is weird, right? This whole thing is objectively insane. Completely. So why are we doing it? Because 3 seconds on my lap told me more about you than most people reveal in years. He leaned back, studying her. You were terrified. I felt your pulse racing. But you didn't apologize or make excuses. You just did it and walked away. That kind of nerve is rare. Or stupid. There's a difference? Despite herself, she laughed. The tension broke slightly. A server appeared. Young guy, probably college student working for tuition. He recognized Victor too. Everyone did. Can I get you something to drink? Whiskey. Neat, Victor said, then glanced at Lena. Unless you want wine. They have. I know what they have. I've been coming here since I moved to the city. She looked at the server. I'll have the same. The server nodded and disappeared. Victor's eyebrow raised slightly. Whiskey. You're not the only one who can handle strong drinks. I'm starting to see that. They sat in silence for a moment. Not uncomfortable exactly, but waited, like they were both waiting for the other to make the first real move. You want to ask me about Daniel, Lena said finally. I want to ask you a lot of things, but yes, that's one of them. What do you want to know? How bad it was. She hadn't expected that. Most people asked how they met, how long they dated, why she stayed. Victor was asking about damage. Bad enough that I lost most of my friends. He was good at making them feel uncomfortable around me, good at monopolizing my time so I couldn't maintain relationships outside of him. She traced the grain of the wooden table. By the time I realized what was happening, I'd isolated myself so completely that leaving felt impossible. But you left anyway, eventually, after you went through my work email looking for proof I was cheating, which I wasn't. but he'd convinced himself I was, and no amount of evidence would change his mind. She met Victor's eyes. The scary part wasn't the paranoia, it was how reasonable he made it sound. How he'd twist everything until I was apologizing for things I didn't do. Victor's jaw tightened, and now he's back. Because of you, I think. He saw me at the restaurant, saw who I was with, and suddenly I'm interesting again. He sees you as property he lost. Probably. That's why I made the calls, not to control your situation, but to make it clear that you're not unprotected anymore. The drinks arrived. Lena took a sip, felt the burn settle into her chest. You know that's exactly the kind of thing that should scare me, right? You just casually mention ruining someone's career like it's nothing. It's not nothing, but it's proportional. He harassed you, illegally accessed your private information, used his connections to intimidate you. I simply made sure the right people knew about it. And the compliance audit that just happened to start today? Every company should maintain proper compliance standards. I merely suggested they look more carefully at certain departments. That's not an answer. No, he agreed. It's not. She appreciated that. The refusal to dress it up or make it sound better than it was. He'd used his power to hurt someone who'd hurt her, and he wasn't going to pretend otherwise. Maya thinks I'm crazy for being here. Your friend is smart. She also thinks you're dangerous. I am dangerous, but not to you. How can you be sure? He set down his glass, leaned forward slightly. Because hurting you would be hurting myself. And I've spent 20 years building an empire specifically so I never have to hurt myself again. The honesty of it was staggering. No deflection, no charm, just the raw truth. What happened 20 years ago? I trusted the wrong people. They took everything I'd built and burned it to the ground while smiling to my face. His expression didn't change, but something cold flickered in his eyes. I learned that power is the only real protection, that if you're not in control, someone else is, and that trusting people is a luxury most of us can't afford. That sounds lonely. It is. So why risk it? Why pursue someone who sat on your lap on a dare instead of sticking with people who already understand your world? Because everyone in my world wants something from me. Money, connections, access. And I always know exactly what they want because they're all playing the same game. He picked up his glass, swirled the whiskey. But you didn't want anything. You didn't even know who I was. You were just living your life and being bold and taking stupid risks because your friend dared you to. So I'm a novelty. You're real. There's a difference. The server returned, took their orders. Lena wasn't even sure what she said yes to. Some pasta thing. Victor ordered the same without looking at the menu. After the server left, Lena pulled out her phone and texted Maya. Still alive. He's actually human. Mostly. Maya's response was immediate. That's what they all say before the murder. Lena, if I die, you can say I told you so. Maya, not funny. Lena, little bit funny. She set the phone down. Victor was watching her with that measured expression. Your friend checking in? Every 30 minutes, or she sends the cavalry. Smart, though she should know I have no intention of letting anything happen to you. Because you've taken a personal interest in my well-being? Because I want to see where this goes, and I can't do that if you're scared or hurt or running. What if I run anyway? Then I let you go. That's the deal. You're here by choice. The second it stops being a choice, we're done. She believed him. That was the terrifying part. She actually believed he meant it. Tell me something true, she said. Something you wouldn't tell anyone else. He considered her for a long moment, then, I haven't had dinner with someone I wasn't trying to manipulate or impress in almost 8 years. What about tonight? Tonight I'm terrified I'm going to say the wrong thing and you'll realize this is a mistake and leave. And I haven't been terrified of anything in longer than I care to admit. Her breath caught. That's the most honest thing anyone's ever said to me. Honesty is the only thing I have to offer that you can't get elsewhere. You could offer charm, money, power. You don't want those things. How do you know? Because if you did, you would have called me the night I gave you my number. Would have shown up at Aurelio's instead of choosing a bistro in your neighborhood. Would have worn something calculated to impress instead of the same dress you wore last night with shoes I gave you. He smiled slightly. You're not trying to win anything from me. You're trying to figure out if I'm worth the risk. Am I that obvious? You're that genuine. It's refreshing. The food arrived. Lena picked up her fork, then set it down again. Can I ask you something that might be rude? Please. The things people say about you, about how you built your business, how competitors just disappear. Is any of it true? Define disappear. You know what I mean. He cut into his pasta, took a bite, chewed thoughtfully. I've never killed anyone, if that's what you're asking. Never ordered violence or physical harm. But have I destroyed companies? Yes. Systematically dismantled competitors who threatened my interests? Absolutely. Used every legal and semi-legal tool at my disposal to win? Every single time. Semi-legal. The law is negotiable when you have enough lawyers. That doesn't bother you? It bothers me less than losing, less than being vulnerable, less than trusting the wrong people and watching them destroy everything I've built. He met her eyes. I'm not a good man, Lena. I told you that. I don't play fair. I don't forgive. And I absolutely do not forget when someone crosses me. But you haven't crossed me yet. Yet being the operative word, she should get up, walk out. This was exactly the kind of red flag Maya had warned her about. Instead, she took a bite of her food and said, "At least you're honest about being terrible." He laughed, actually laughed. Is that your bar? Honest, terrible people over dishonest, good ones? Daniel pretended to be good while slowly suffocating me. You're telling me up front what you are and letting me decide if I can handle it. Yeah, I prefer that. Even if what I am is dangerous? Dangerous to who? Your enemies? People who cross you? She leaned forward. You've had multiple opportunities to scare me, control me, manipulate me. Instead, you've been almost aggressively respectful. You stopped texting when I didn't respond, agreed to my terms for dinner, asked if you overstepped instead of assuming you were right. That's not dangerous, that's considerate. Don't confuse strategy with consideration. Why not? If the result is the same. He studied her, something shifting in his expression. You're arguing that my manipulation is acceptable because it benefits you. I'm arguing that everyone manipulates everyone. The difference is intention and consent. You've been transparent about what you want and why. That's more than most people offer. What I want, he said slowly, is to keep having dinner with you, to learn what makes you laugh and what scares you and why you took that dare in the first place. To see if this feeling, this sense that you're someone who might actually matter, is real, or just wishful thinking from someone who's been alone too long. Her throat felt tight. That's terrifying. Yes, because if it's real, then we both have something to lose. Exactly. They ate in silence for a while. The food was good. Rosie's never disappointed, but Lena barely tasted it. Her mind was spinning, trying to reconcile the man across from her with the rumors, the reputation, the reality of what he'd admitted to. He was dangerous, ruthless, willing to destroy anyone who threatened him. But he was also careful with her, honest, treating her like an equal instead of a conquest. Which version was real, or were they both real, existing simultaneously in the same person? You're thinking too hard, Victor said. You just told me you destroy your enemies and bend the law when it suits you. I'm allowed to think hard. Fair enough. He finished his whiskey, signaled for another. What are you thinking about specifically? Whether I can trust someone who admits they're untrustworthy. And? I don't know yet. Ask me in an hour. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and something in his expression shifted. Not fear, but close. Problem? Lena asked. Potentially. He typed something quickly, then set the phone face down on the table. Nothing urgent. You're lying. Yes. Why? Because telling you the truth would ruin dinner, and I'm not ready for this to end yet. Her stomach tightened. Victor, what was that message? He looked at her for a long moment, weighing something. Then he picked up the phone and handed it to her. The message was from Marcus, his security head. Ethan Crow just walked into Rosie's, back entrance. He's heading your way. Lena looked up. Who's Ethan Crow? A problem. Victor's voice had gone cold, controlled. The warmth from moments ago was gone, replaced by something harder. Someone who should not be here. Why would... Victor. A new voice, smooth, amused. I heard you were slumming it tonight. Had to see for myself. Lena turned. A man stood beside their table, tall, expensive suit, smile that didn't reach his eyes. He looked like Victor's reflection in a funhouse mirror. Same polish, same power, but something fundamentally off about the angles. Ethan. Victor didn't stand, didn't offer a hand. You're interrupting. Am I? Ethan's eyes slid to Lena. You must be the famous Lena Hayes, the woman who's had the whole city talking. Her blood went cold. Excuse me? Oh, you didn't know. Victor's little stunt at Aurelio's made quite the rounds. Everyone's wondering who could possibly be interesting enough to catch his attention. His smile widened. I'm Ethan Crow, business associate of Victor's, though that's a generous term for what we are. Ethan, Victor said quietly, leave. I just got here, and I'm dying to get to know Lena. After all, anyone important to you is important to me. He pulled out a chair, started to sit. Victor's hand shot out, gripped the chair. I said leave. The restaurant had gone quiet. Not obviously, people were still eating, still talking, but there was a tension in the air, like everyone could feel the shift. Ethan raised his hands in mock surrender. Easy, friend. I'm just being friendly. We're not friends. No, we're competitors, which is why I find your sudden interest in someone so ordinary absolutely fascinating. He looked at Lena again. No offense. Plenty taken, Lena said. Ethan laughed. I like her. She's got spine. You'll need that dealing with Victor. He has a tendency to consume the things he cares about. That's enough. Victor stood. The movement was controlled, but barely. You've said your piece. Now leave before this gets ugly. Ugly? In front of your date? That wouldn't be very gentlemanly. But Ethan was already backing away, hands still raised. I'll leave you two to your evening. Lena, it was a pleasure. I'm sure we'll see each other again soon. He walked away. Out the front door this time, unhurried, like he'd accomplished exactly what he came for. Victor sat back down. His jaw was tight, hands clenched on the table. Who was that really? Lena asked. Exactly who, he said. A competitor. Someone who's been trying to find leverage against me for years. He looked at her, and she saw something she hadn't seen before. Genuine worry. And now he knows you matter. Matter how? Enough that he'll try to use you to get to me. The implication settled over her like cold water. You're saying I'm in danger. I'm saying you might be. Ethan doesn't make moves without reason. Coming here tonight was a message. What kind of message? That he knows I care, and that he's willing to exploit it. Victor's phone buzzed again. He checked it, typed something. Marcus is outside. He'll make sure you get home safely. I can take care of myself. I know you can, but please, let Marcus drive you, just for tonight. She wanted to argue, wanted to prove she didn't need protection, but the look in Victor's eyes stopped her. This wasn't about control. This was about fear. Actual, genuine fear. Okay, she said quietly. But you need to tell me everything. What Ethan wants, why he's targeting you, what this actually means. Not here, not tonight, but soon. I promise. They finished dinner in near silence. The ease from earlier was gone, replaced by tension that made every bite feel forced. When the check came, Victor paid without looking at it. Then he walked her to the door where a black SUV waited. Marcus stood beside it, tall, efficient, the kind of guy who'd probably been military before private security. He nodded at Lena. Ms. Hayes, I'll have you home in 20 minutes. Victor touched her arm, gentle, almost hesitant. I'm sorry, this isn't how I wanted tonight to end. It's not over yet. You promised me answers, soon. Tomorrow. I'll call you tomorrow and tell you everything. Everything? Everything that matters. She got into the SUV. Through the tinted window, she watched Victor stand on the sidewalk, hands in his pockets, looking more alone than anyone that powerful should ever look. Marcus pulled away from the curb smoothly. Did you have a good evening, Ms. Hayes? Until the end, yeah, I did. She pulled out her phone, texted Maya. Change of plans. Victor's security is driving me home. Long story. Maya. What happened? Lena. Tell you when I get there. Meet me at my place? Maya. Already on my way. The drive home was silent. Marcus didn't try to make conversation, which Lena appreciated. She needed time to think, to process what Ethan's appearance meant. She'd known dating Victor came with risks. Power attracted enemies, but knowing it abstractly and having someone show up at dinner to prove it were very different things. When they pulled up to her building, Marcus got out and opened her door. "I'll walk you up." "That's not necessary. Mr. Armin would prefer it." She didn't have the energy to argue. They walked up to her second-floor apartment. She unlocked the door, turned to thank him. "Miss Hayes," Marcus said, "a word of advice, if I may." "Sure." Mr. Armin doesn't bring people into his life lightly. The fact that he's concerned about your safety means you matter to him. That's rare, but it also makes you a target for people who want to hurt him. He paused. "If you're not prepared for that reality, it's better to walk away now, before things get more complicated." "Is that what you think I should do? Walk away?" "I think you should be honest with yourself about what you're willing to handle. Mr. Armin is used to danger. You're not. That gap can get people hurt." He nodded once and left. Lena stood in her doorway, his words echoing in her head. Walk away. Before things get more complicated. Too late for that. Things were already complicated. Had been from the moment she'd sat on Victor's lap and changed the trajectory of everything. She went inside, kicked off the green heels, and collapsed on her couch. 10 minutes later, Maya showed up with wine and worry. "Talk," Maya demanded, settling beside her. Lena told her everything: Ethan's appearance, the veiled threats, Victor's fear, Marcus's warning. Maya listened without interrupting. When Lena finished, she poured them both large glasses of wine. "Okay, so you're dating someone whose enemies are now your enemies. That's fun." "I'm not dating him. We had one dinner." "Lena, he assigned you security. That's past dating. That's involved." "I know. And you're still going to see him again." "He promised answers. I want to hear them." Maya sighed. "Of course you do, because why would you take the safe option when you could walk directly into danger?" "It's not like that." "It's exactly like that. But I get it, I do. He's honest and intense and treats you like you matter. That's intoxicating. Just promise me you'll be careful, really careful, not just physically but emotionally, because guys like Victor, they don't just break hearts, they shatter them." "I'll be careful." "You keep saying that. I'm starting to think you don't know what it means." They drank wine and talked until midnight. Maya crashed on the couch. Lena went to her bedroom and stared at her phone. No messages from Victor. He was probably dealing with Ethan, or strategizing, or doing whatever powerful men did when their enemies made moves. She typed out a message. "I'm home safe. Thank you for dinner." Even with the unexpected visitor. The response came 5 minutes later. "I'm sorry about Ethan. It won't happen again." Lena, "You can't promise that." Victor, "Watch me." Lena, "That's not reassuring." Victor, "I know, but it's the truth. I won't let him near you again." Lena, "You promised me answers tomorrow." Victor, "And you'll have them. All of them. No matter how ugly." Lena, "I can handle ugly." Victor, "I'm starting to believe that." She set the phone down and lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow she'd get answers, would learn exactly what she was walking into. What dangers came with caring about someone like Victor Armin. The smart thing would be to run. Block his number. Go back to her safe, normal life. But she'd tried safe and normal with Daniel, had played by all the rules and still ended up suffocated and controlled. At least with Victor, the danger was honest, external, something she could see coming instead of hiding behind concern and love. Her phone buzzed one more time. Victor, "For what it's worth, tonight was the best evening I've had in years. Until Ethan ruined it." Lena, "We'll have another one, without interruptions." Victor, "Is that a promise or a hope?" Lena, "Both." She fell asleep with her phone in her hand and dreamed of gray eyes and steady hands and the feeling of standing at the edge of something that could either save her or destroy her completely. Across the city, Victor Armin stood in his office and made a series of calls. Each one was brief, precise. By the time he finished, Ethan Crow's entire network knew one simple fact. Lena Hayes was off limits. Completely. Permanently. Anyone who touched her would answer to Victor personally. It was a declaration of war wrapped in a protection order, and everyone who mattered understood exactly what it meant. Victor Armin had found something he cared about more than winning, and that made him more dangerous than he'd ever been before. The morning brought rain and 3 separate unknown numbers trying to reach her phone. Lena ignored all of them, drinking coffee at her kitchen counter while Maya snored on the couch. Her head felt thick from wine and insufficient sleep, but her mind was sharp, turning over everything from last night. Ethan Crow's smile, the way the restaurant had gone quiet. Victor's carefully controlled fear. Her phone buzzed. Actually, Victor this time. "Can I see you today? I owe you explanations." She typed back, "When? Whenever you're ready. I'll come to you, my place. Noon. I'll be there." Maya stumbled into the kitchen, hair a mess, mascara smudged. "Please tell me you didn't just invite him over." "He's coming at noon." "Lena, you can stay if you want, provide moral support. Make sure he doesn't murder me." "Not funny." But Maya was already heading for the bathroom. "I'm showering and staying. Someone needs to be the voice of reason since you've clearly lost yours." By 11:30, Lena had cleaned her apartment twice and changed clothes 3 times. Finally settled on jeans and a sweater, casual, comfortable, not trying too hard. Maya sat on the couch, laptop open, pretending to work while actually watching Lena pace. "You're gonna wear a hole in the floor." "I'm fine." "You're terrified." Same thing. At exactly noon, there was a knock. Lena opened the door to find Victor standing there in jeans and a black sweater, looking more human and less powerful than she'd ever seen him. He held a bag from the bakery down the street. "I brought breakfast. Figured you might not have eaten." "It's noon." "Then lunch." He stepped inside, nodded at Maya. "You must be Maya. I've heard a lot about you." Maya stood, arms crossed. "And I've heard a lot about you, none of it particularly reassuring. I wouldn't expect it to be." "If you hurt her, I will make your life extremely difficult." Victor set the bag on the counter. "I believe you, and for what it's worth, that's exactly the kind of friend she needs." Maya blinked, surprised. Whatever she'd been expecting, it wasn't agreement. Lena intervened before things could get weirder. "Maya, you can stay, but maybe give us a few minutes? I'll be in the bedroom. Door open. Yell if you need me." Maya grabbed her laptop and left, but not before giving Victor one more warning look. Victor waited until she was gone. Then he turned to Lena. "She's protective." "She has reason to be. My track record with men isn't great." "I'm not Daniel." "I know. You're scarier." "Fair." He pulled out containers from the bag. Croissants, fruit, coffee. "I meant what I said last night. You deserve answers. All of them. So ask me anything." Lena sat at the counter. Victor remained standing, like he needed the option to move, to pace, to escape if this went badly. "Start with Ethan," she said. "Who is he really?" "A competitor. We came up together, different companies, same industry. For years we coexisted, even partnered on a few deals, but 5 years ago I outbid him on a major contract, cost him millions. He's been trying to find leverage against me ever since. And now he thinks I'm that leverage." "Yes. Why?" "We've had one dinner." "How does that give him power over you?" Victor was quiet for a moment. "Because I've never had one dinner with anyone. Never let someone close enough to matter. And Ethan knows that. The fact that I'm here in your apartment explaining myself to you, that tells him everything he needs to know. Which is that you're important to me. That if he hurts you, I'll come after him with everything I have." Victor's hands clenched on the counter. "Which is exactly what he wants. For me to make a mistake, to act emotionally instead of strategically. So I'm bait. You're a target. There's a difference." Lena took a breath. "What does that mean practically? What could he actually do?" "Threaten you, follow you, try to use you to get information about my business, or..." He stopped. "Or what? Or hurt you to hurt me. It's a tactic, not one I think he'd actually use, but I can't rule it out completely." The coffee in her stomach turned sour. "You're telling me I might be in actual physical danger because I sat on your lap. I'm telling you it's possible, which is why I've had security watching you. Why Marcus drove you home. Why I'm here being completely honest instead of downplaying the risks." He finally sat, across from her, hands flat on the counter between them. "I won't lie to you, Lena. Not about this. Ethan is dangerous, not in the way Daniel was. He's not going to stalk you or manipulate you. But he will use you if he can. And I need you to understand what that means before you decide if you want to keep seeing me. Keep seeing you. We've had one dinner that ended with your enemy showing up to make threats. Exactly. Which is why I'm giving you an out right now. You can tell me to leave and I will. I'll make sure Ethan knows you mean nothing to me, that last night was a mistake. He'll lose interest and you'll be safe. But I'd be lying, and you wouldn't be safe from everything else. Daniel is still out there, still angry. And now that Ethan has seen you with me, other people in my world know you exist. Walking away doesn't erase that. Lena pressed her palms to her eyes. So my options are stay involved and be a target, or walk away and still be a target, but without protection. That's the reality. I'm sorry. Stop apologizing. This isn't your fault. It absolutely is. I pursued you. I made you visible. I put you in this position. I sat on your lap. I texted you back. I agreed to dinner. I made choices too. She dropped her hands, looked at him. You're not the only one with agency here. Something shifted in his expression. Relief, maybe, or respect. Most people would blame me, make this my responsibility to fix. I'm not most people. No, you're not. He reached across the counter, stopped just short of touching her hand. I can protect you. I have resources, security, ways to make sure Ethan can't get near you. But it means living differently, being more careful, accepting that some parts of your privacy are going to be compromised for your safety. You mean surveillance? I mean Marcus and his team keeping an eye on you, not invasively. You won't even notice most of the time, but they'll be there. That's terrifying. Yes. And necessary. If you want to be safe, yes. From the bedroom, Maya's voice called out, "This is insane. You know that, right?" Lena almost laughed. She's not wrong. No, Victor agreed. She's not. What happens if I say yes, if I decide the risk is worth it? Then we continue, carefully. I teach you what to watch for, how to spot a tail, what to do if Ethan or anyone else approaches you. You learn to live in my world without being consumed by it. And if I say no, then I walk away. Make it public that we're done. Ethan loses interest. You go back to your life. His voice went quiet. And I go back to mine. The weight of it settled over her. This wasn't just about danger or protection. It was about choosing between safety and something real, between the life she'd rebuilt after Daniel and the possibility of something more. Can I ask you something? She said. Anything. Why me? Really? You could have anyone, someone who already understands your world, who knows the risks and how to handle them. Why pursue someone who makes your life more complicated? Victor was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was rougher than usual. Because everyone who understands my world is performing, playing a role. They know what to say, how to act, what to want. But you were just being yourself, bold and scared and completely genuine. And I realized I'd forgotten what that looked like, what it felt like to be around someone who wasn't calculating every word. So I'm refreshing. You're real. In a world where nothing else is, that's worth any amount of complication. Lena's throat felt tight. What if I can't handle it? What if I try and it's too much? Then you tell me, and we stop. No judgment, no pressure, just a clean break. You promise? I promise. You're not trapped here, Lena. You never will be. That's the one thing I can guarantee. She believed him. That was the insane part. After Daniel, after 2 years of promises that turned into cages, she actually believed Victor would let her go if she asked. Maya appeared in the doorway. Can I say something? Please, Lena said. Maya looked at Victor. If she does this, if she says yes, and you hurt her, I will dedicate my life to making you regret it. I don't care how powerful you are or how many lawyers you have. I will find a way. I wouldn't expect anything less. Good. Because Lena deserves someone who sees her as more than a novelty or a challenge. She deserves someone who treats her like she's irreplaceable. I agree. Then prove it, not with security or protection or resources. Prove it by being honest when it's hard, by backing off when she needs space, by choosing her over winning. Maya's voice cracked slightly. Because she's my best friend and I love her, and I'm terrified you're going to break her. Victor stood, looked Maya directly in the eye. I'm terrified of the same thing, but I'm going to try not to. That's all I can offer, the honest attempt to be better than I usually am. Maya held his gaze for a beat, then nodded. Okay, that's something, I guess. She looked at Lena. Whatever you decide, I'm here. You know that, right? I know. Maya grabbed her bag. I'm going home. Call me later, or sooner if you need me. She paused at the door. And Victor? Don't make me regret giving you a chance. After she left, the apartment felt too quiet. Lena and Victor sat across from each other, the remains of breakfast between them. She's intense, Victor said. She's seen me destroyed once. She doesn't want to watch it happen again. I don't want that either. Then help me understand what I'm agreeing to. What does this actually look like day to day? Victor leaned back. Marcus's team monitors your location. Not constantly, just periodic check-ins. You'll have a panic button app on your phone that connects directly to them. I'll know your schedule, but only the broad strokes. Where you're working, when you're traveling. Nothing invasive. What about my apartment? My privacy? Your apartment stays yours. No cameras, no monitoring. Your phone stays private unless you choose to share something with me. The only time that changes is if there's a direct threat. And dating, going out, living my life? You do all of that. But you tell me where you're going if it's somewhere public, not for permission, for safety. So if something happens, we know where you are. He paused. And I'd like to see you, as often as you're comfortable with. Dinners, weekends, whatever pace works for you. What about your world? The galas and functions and whatever else powerful people do. Only if you want to. I don't need you to perform or impress anyone. You can stay completely separate from that part of my life if you prefer. It sounded almost reasonable, almost normal, except for the security and the panic button and the constant awareness that danger was hovering at the edges. What about Ethan? She asked. What's your plan there? Make it clear you're protected, that touching you means war. Most of the people in our circles understand that math. The cost of going after you outweighs any potential benefit. Most people. Ethan's unpredictable, which is why I'm being honest about the risks. Lena stood, walked to the window. Rain streaked the glass, blurring the street below. Her normal street. Her normal life. Which wasn't so normal anymore. I need to think, she said. Take all the time you need. No, I mean like an hour. Alone. To process all of this without you in my apartment being intense and honest and making this harder than it already is. Victor stood. I'll go. When you're ready to talk, call me. That's it? You're just leaving? You asked for space. I'm giving it to you. He moved toward the door, then stopped. For what it's worth, I meant what I said last night. You matter to me. More than I expected. More than is probably wise. But that's your decision to make, not mine. He left before she could respond. Lena stood at the window and watched him get into a car, different from last night, but still expensive, still screaming money and power. He didn't look up, just got in and drove away. She called Maya. Did he leave? Maya asked immediately. Yeah, I asked for space and he just gave it. That's good, right? I think so. I don't know. Everything he said made sense. He was honest about the risks. Offered me protection, promised to back off if I wanted. But Maya, this is insane. I'm actually considering saying yes to a life with security details and panic buttons. Because he's worth it, or because you're scared to walk away? Lena pressed her forehead to the cool glass. Both. Neither. I don't know. What's the difference? One is choosing him. The other is choosing not to be alone. Is that so bad? Choosing not to be alone? It is if it's the only reason. Lena, I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you that you're stronger than you think. You survived Daniel, built yourself back up from nothing. You don't need Victor or anyone else to be complete. I know. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, you're about to trade one complicated relationship for another. It's not the same. Victor's not controlling, he's protective. Right now. But what happens when his protection starts feeling like control? When the security detail becomes surveillance? When knowing your schedule turns into dictating it? The fear Lena had been trying to ignore crystallized. Maya was right. The distance between protection and control was razor thin, and she'd walked that line before, told herself Daniel's jealousy was care, his monitoring was concern. What if I'm making the same mistake again? She whispered. Then you course correct. You're not the same person you were with Daniel. You know the warning signs now. You have me. You have yourself. Maya's voice softened. But you also have to ask if this is what you actually want or if you're just addicted to the intensity. Maybe I like intensity. There's a difference between liking intensity and needing chaos to feel alive. Lena closed her eyes. Was that what this was? Choosing danger because normalcy felt like death? Picking Victor because he made her pulse race instead of because he actually made her happy? She didn't know. That was the terrifying part. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her stomach clenched. The message was brief. You should know what you're getting into. Coffee? I promise I'm less threatening in daylight. Ethan. Her hands shook. She screenshotted it, sent it to Victor. His response was immediate. Don't respond. Don't meet him. I'm coming back. No, I need to think. Lena, he's trying to manipulate you, I know. But maybe I should hear what he has to say. Absolutely not. Her jaw tightened. There it was, the control wrapped in concern. The line between protection and dictation blurring. You don't get to tell me what to do. A long pause. Then, you're right, I don't. But I'm asking you not to. Please. Better. Not perfect, but better. I won't meet him, but I'm not promising I won't ever talk to him. Fair enough. Thank you. She called Maya back. Ethan just texted me. What? How did he get your number? I don't know, but he wants to meet for coffee. Says he wants to tell me what I'm getting into. And you said no, right? Please tell me you said no. I said no. But Maya, what if he's right? What if there's stuff Victor isn't telling me, stuff I should know before I make a decision? Then you ask Victor directly. You don't get information from his enemy. That's manipulation 101. Or it's the only way to get the truth. Lena, listen to yourself. You're already creating reasons to trust Ethan over Victor. That's not rational. That's self-sabotage. Was it? Or was it self-preservation? The need to know the whole story before jumping into something that could destroy her? I need to walk, Lena said. Clear my head. Want company? No. I need to be alone, really alone. No Victor, no security, no best friend telling me what to do. Okay, but text me when you get back. And Lena, whatever you decide, make sure it's actually what you want. Not what's safest or most exciting, what you actually want. Lena hung up, grabbed her jacket, and headed out into the rain. The streets were mostly empty, everyone sensible staying dry. She walked without direction, letting the rain soak through her jacket, feeling the cold seep into her bones. It felt real, grounding. Her phone buzzed constantly. Victor checking in. Maya worrying. Unknown numbers that might be Ethan or might be nothing. She ignored all of them. At a coffee shop 3 blocks from her apartment, she ducked inside, ordered something hot and bitter, sat by the window, and watched people hurry past. Normal people. With normal problems. Not wondering if they should date someone whose enemies made them targets. Not weighing security details against freedom. Mind if I sit? She looked up. A man stood there, mid-30s, expensive coat, friendly smile. Not Ethan, but not random either. Something in his eyes was too sharp. I'm waiting for someone, she lied. No, you're not. You're hiding. From Victor Armin. From Ethan Crow, from decisions you don't want to make. He sat anyway. I'm James. I work for Ethan. Her blood went cold. Get away from me. I will, in just a minute. But first, Ethan wanted me to give you something. He slid a folder across the table. Information. About Victor. Things he won't tell you himself. What you do with it is up to you. I don't want it. Keep it anyway. Read it or don't. But at least know it exists before you make your choice. He stood. Ethan's not the villain here. Neither is Victor. They're both just men playing a game. The question is whether you want to be a piece or a player. He left before she could respond. Lena stared at the folder. Plain manila. Unmarked. It could contain anything. Lies. Truth. Weapons designed to push her away from Victor. She should throw it away. Call Victor. Tell him what happened. Instead, she opened it. Inside were documents, financial records, photographs, emails, all related to Victor's business dealings. Companies that had folded after competing with him. People who'd lost everything. Legal settlements with NDAs attached. Nothing illegal, but nothing noble either. Just the cold, efficient destruction of anyone who stood in his way. One document was flagged. A partnership proposal between Victor and Ethan from 5 years ago. Notes in the margin showed Victor had agreed to terms, then pulled out at the last minute and used the information Ethan had shared to undercut him on a major contract. Betrayal, clear and documented. So Ethan's grudge wasn't just business. It was personal. Victor had pretended to partner with him, stolen his strategy, and left him holding the losses. Her hands shook. This was who she was considering trusting, someone who betrayed even his partners when it suited him. Her phone rang. Victor, she answered. Did you betray Ethan 5 years ago? Take information he shared in good faith and use it to destroy a deal he'd been building? Silence. Then, where are you? Coffee shop. Someone who works for Ethan just gave me a folder full of your greatest hits. So I'm asking you directly, did you betray him? Yes. The honesty of it was shocking. No deflection. No excuses. Why? Because I found out he was planning to betray me first. He'd offered the partnership specifically to get access to my client list. Was going to use it to poach my biggest accounts the moment the deal closed. So I beat him to it. Do you have proof? Yes. Do you want to see it? Yes. I'll send it now, but Lena, wherever you are, you need to leave. If someone from Ethan's team approached you, there might be others. Marcus is on his way. I don't need, please, just this once. Let me make sure you're safe, then we can fight about autonomy and trust and whatever else you need to fight about. But please, let Marcus get you home. She looked around the coffee shop. Suddenly, everyone seemed suspicious. The woman at the corner table, the barista, the man reading a newspaper. Okay, she said quietly. Send Marcus. Thank you. He'll be there in 3 minutes. She hung up. Victor's email came through, more documents, showing Ethan's plan, emails between him and his partners discussing how to leverage the partnership to steal Victor's clients. So they'd both been planning betrayal. Victor had just moved faster. Was that better? Worse? She didn't know anymore. Marcus appeared at the door. Miss Hayes, let's get you home. She followed him to the SUV, clutching the folder. Rain hammered the roof as they drove. Neither of them spoke. When they reached her building, Marcus walked her up, checked her apartment. Only after he was satisfied did he leave. Lena locked the door behind him and collapsed on her couch. Her phone immediately rang. Victor. She answered. Are you okay? His voice was tight with worry. Physically, yes. Emotionally, I'm a mess. Victor, what the hell is happening? Why is Ethan sending people to give me dirt on you? What does he actually want? He wants me to react emotionally, to make mistakes. Sending someone to approach you was designed to scare both of us, to make me overreact and you doubt me. Well, it's working. I know. That's why I need to see you, face to face. No phones, no intermediaries, just us talking about what this actually is. I don't know if I can handle more honesty right now. Then let me come over and not talk. Let me just sit with you while you process. No pressure, no expectations, just being there. She should say no, should maintain boundaries, should think clearly without him in her space. Okay, she heard herself say. Come over. I'll be there in 20 minutes. She hung up and stared at the folder still clutched in her hands. Inside was proof that Victor was exactly as ruthless as everyone said, that he betrayed people, destroyed them, won at any cost. But he'd also been honest when she'd asked, hadn't tried to spin it or make himself look better, just admitted what he'd done and why. Was that enough? Could honesty make up for cruelty? Could transparency excuse ruthlessness? She didn't know. But she was about to find out. Victor arrived in 15 minutes, not 20. He was soaked from the rain, hair plastered to his forehead, looking less like a billionaire and more like someone who'd run through a storm because waiting was unbearable. Lena opened the door without saying anything, just stepped aside to let him in. He didn't immediately speak, just stood there dripping on her floor, chest heaving like he'd actually run the whole way. You're wet, she said stupidly. I didn't want to waste time. He pulled off his jacket. Can we talk? Really talk? She handed him a towel. That's why you're here. They sat at opposite ends of her couch. The folder lay on the coffee table between them like evidence at a trial. Victor glanced at it, then at her. You read it. Most of it. Enough to know you've destroyed a lot of people. Yes. Enough to know you betrayed Ethan exactly the way he said you did, after finding out he was planning to betray me. But yes. Do you regret it? Victor was quiet for a moment. I regret that it was necessary. I don't regret protecting myself. That's not the same as being sorry. No, it's not. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Lena, I'm not going to apologize for surviving in a world that rewards ruthlessness. I've made hard choices, hurt people who were trying to hurt me, built walls so high that nobody could reach me to do damage. That's who I am. That's what it took. And you're okay with that? I was, until I met you. He looked at her. Now I'm starting to wonder if surviving is the same as living. If protecting myself means I've locked out everything worth having. Her throat felt tight. Don't do that. Don't make me responsible for your redemption arc. That's not fair. You're right. It's not. He sat back. I'm not asking you to fix me or save me. I'm asking if you can accept who I am while I figure out if I want to be different. That's a lot of pressure. I know. Which is why I'll understand if you walk away. Ethan wanted you to see that folder because he knew it would scare you. And it should. Because everything in there is true. I am ruthless. I do destroy people who threaten me. And being with me means accepting that reality. Lena picked up the folder, flipped through it again. Companies bankrupted. People ruined. All legal, all cold. Did any of them deserve it? Most of them were trying to do the same to me. A few were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. He didn't flinch from it. I'm not a good man, Lena. I've told you that from the start. But you've been good to me. So far. You think that'll change? I think I don't trust myself not to hurt you eventually. Not intentionally. But my world doesn't allow for soft things. And you're the softest thing I've ever tried to hold. She should be insulted. Should tell him she wasn't soft or fragile or something to be held carefully. But she understood what he meant. She was real in a way his world wasn't. Genuine. Breakable. What does Ethan actually want? She asked. Not just revenge. What's his endgame? To provoke me into doing something stupid. To make me choose between protecting you and protecting my business. He thinks if he can get me emotional, I'll make mistakes. Leave openings. And will you? Probably. I'm already making decisions based on what keeps you safe instead of what wins. That's new for me. Dangerous. So I'm your weakness. You're my humanity. There's a difference. He rubbed his face. For 20 years, I've operated on pure strategy. Every decision calculated for maximum advantage. But with you, I'm choosing things that don't make strategic sense. Like being honest when lying would be easier. Like giving you space when I want to stay close. Like admitting I'm terrified instead of pretending I have control. You are terrified. Completely. Because I don't know how to do this. How to care about someone without consuming them. How to protect without controlling. How to be vulnerable without being destroyed. Lena's chest ached. This was the real Victor. Not the powerful billionaire or the ruthless competitor. Just a man who'd been alone so long he'd forgotten how to be anything else. I'm terrified too, she said quietly. I'm terrified you'll turn into Daniel, that the protection will become control, that one day I'll wake up and realize I've traded one cage for another. That's fair. And if that starts happening, I need you to tell me, not hint, not hope I'll notice. Tell me directly so I can course correct. And if you can't, if this is just who you are, then you leave, and I let you go. No games, no manipulation, no using my resources to make your life difficult. He met her eyes. That's the promise I can make. That if this doesn't work, you get to walk away clean. Daniel made promises too. Daniel was trying to own you. I'm trying not to. Victor's voice went rough. I know you have no reason to trust that, but I'm asking you to try anyway. To give this a chance and see if I can actually be different with you. Her phone buzzed. Maya checking in. Lena ignored it. What happens with Ethan? She asked. This doesn't just go away because we talked about it. No, it escalates. He'll keep pushing until one of us breaks or backs down. Which will you do? Neither. I'll neutralize him. How? Victor hesitated. Do you really want to know? Yes. I'm going to find leverage. Something that matters to him the way you matter to me. And I'm going to make it clear that if he touches you, I destroy what he loves. It's mutually assured destruction, the only language people like Ethan understand. That's terrifying. Yes, but it's also effective. And more importantly, it doesn't require me to hurt you or compromise your safety. Just make the cost of targeting you too high to justify. Lena stood, walked to the window. Rain still fell, turning the city into a blur of lights and shadows. I don't know if I can live like this, constantly aware of threats and leverage and games being played around me. You don't have to. That's my world, not yours. I can keep you separate from it. Can you? Because it doesn't feel separate. It feels like I'm already in it, whether I want to be or not. You are. The moment Ethan saw you with me, you became part of it. Walking away doesn't change that. It just means you're in it alone instead of protected. She turned to face him. So my choices are, be with you and be a target with protection, or leave and be a target without it. Unless I can convince Ethan you mean nothing, which requires me to treat you like you mean nothing, publicly cut ties. Make it clear last night was a mistake. He stood. I'll do it if you want. If that's what you need to be safe, I'll make it happen. You'd do that? I'd hate it. It would probably destroy me. But yes, your safety matters more than what I want. And there it was. The difference between Daniel and Victor crystallized in one statement. Daniel had always put his wants first, disguised as concern for her. Victor was offering to give up what he wanted to keep her safe. That didn't make him perfect. Didn't erase the ruthlessness or the betrayals or the cold calculation he brought to everything else in his life. But it made him honest. And maybe honesty was enough to build on. I don't want you to do that, she said. What do you want? I want to try. I want to see if we can make this work. But Victor, I need you to hear me. The second this starts feeling like Daniel, the second your protection becomes control, I'm gone. No second chances, no explanations, just gone. I understand. Do you? Because I've done the thing where I ignore red flags and make excuses and convince myself it'll get better. I won't do it again. Not for you. Not for anyone. Good. Don't. I'd rather you leave too soon than stay too long and get hurt. He crossed to her, stopped just short of touching. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to overstep and need to be corrected, but I promise I'll listen when you tell me to back off. That's the best I can offer. She looked up at him. He was close enough that she could see the fear in his eyes, the vulnerability he was trying to hide. This powerful man who could destroy companies with a phone call was terrified of losing her. Okay, she said. We try, but we do it my way. Slow, careful, with clear boundaries. Whatever you need. I need you to stop Ethan from sending people to harass me. I need to know I can go to work and live my life without constantly looking over my shoulder. Done. I'll handle Ethan today. Without violence. Without violence, he agreed. Just leverage and mutually assured destruction. That's still terrifying. Welcome to my world. He smiled slightly. But you don't have to live in it. You just have to let me keep it away from you. Her phone rang. Not Maya this time. Unknown number. She showed Victor the screen. Don't answer, he said. What if it's important? It's Ethan, or someone working for him. They're testing to see if you'll engage. His jaw tightened. Let me handle this. Please. She let it go to voicemail. Immediately a text came through from the same number. Your boyfriend can't protect you forever. Eventually you'll realize he's not worth the danger. When that happens, call me. I'll make sure you're safe. Ethan. Victor read it over her shoulder. Something cold and dangerous flickered across his face. He just made a mistake. What kind of mistake? The kind where he threatened you directly instead of just using you as leverage. That changes things. He pulled out his phone. Marcus, I need everything you have on Ethan Crow. Personal, professional, everything he cares about. I want it in an hour. He hung up and looked at Lena. I'm going to end this. Today. So you can stop looking over your shoulder. How? By making him more afraid of me than I am of him. 2 hours later, they sat in Lena's apartment while Victor made calls. She'd listened to him work before, giving orders, negotiating deals, but this was different. This was personal. Each call was precise, targeted, designed to tighten a noose around Ethan without him realizing it until too late. His primary income comes from a tech portfolio, Victor explained between calls. 3 major investments. I'm going to make sure all three companies are approached by my competitors with better offers. Nothing illegal, just standard business. But it'll cost him millions. That's your leverage? Part of it. The other part is his reputation. Ethan prides himself on being untouchable, above the petty fights. I'm going to make sure every major player in the industry knows he's been harassing you, that he's making threats. Most people don't like that kind of publicity. You're destroying his business to protect me. I'm making the cost of targeting you higher than any potential benefit. There's a difference. Was there? Lena wasn't sure anymore, but she was too tired to argue, too worn down by fear and uncertainty to do anything but trust that Victor knew what he was doing. Her phone rang again. Ethan. This time she answered before Victor could stop her. What do you want? She said. To give you a warning. Ethan's voice was smooth, amused. Victor's about to do something spectacularly stupid. He's going after my business, my reputation, all to protect you, and when it backfires, when I come after him with everything I have, you're going to be caught in the crossfire. Is that really what you want? What I want is for you to leave me alone. I'll leave you alone the second you leave Victor. Walk away. Go back to your normal life. Let him find another toy to play with. I'm not a toy. You're also not equipped for this world. You're going to get hurt, Lena, either by me or by Victor or by the next person who decides you're useful leverage. Save yourself the pain. Walk away now. Victor reached for the phone. Lena pulled it away. You don't get to tell me what to do, she said to Ethan. Neither of you do. I'm not some prize to be won or a piece to be moved. I'm a person making a choice, and I'm choosing to see where this goes with Victor. If that makes me a target, fine, but I'm not running just because you want me to. She hung up. Her hands were shaking. Victor stared at her. You just declared war. Good. I'm tired of being scared. Tired of men thinking they can control my decisions. She threw the phone on the couch. Do whatever you need to do to end this. Just don't lie to me about it. Victor's expression shifted. Pride mixed with concern. You realize what this means. He's not going to back off now. He's going to escalate. Then we handle it. Together. That's how this works, right? We don't hide things from each other. We face them. That's how it's supposed to work. Then let's do it right. She grabbed her laptop. Show me what you're planning. All of it. No protecting me from the ugly parts. For the next 3 hours, Victor walked her through his strategy. The business moves. The reputation management. The carefully orchestrated pressure that would make Ethan's life difficult without crossing legal lines. It was ruthless. Calculated. Exactly what everyone said Victor Armin was. But it was also transparent. He didn't hide the cost or the consequences. Just laid it out and let her decide if she could live with it. This will ruin him financially, she said, looking at the projections. Not ruin, just hurt. Enough that continuing to come after you costs more than his pride is worth. And if he escalates anyway, then we go further. But I don't think he will. Ethan's smart. Once he realizes the math doesn't work, he'll back off. You're betting my safety on him being rational. I'm betting on him being selfish, which is more reliable than rational. Her phone buzzed. Maya again. This time Lena answered. Are you alive? Maya demanded. Alive. Possibly insane, but alive. Victor's still there? Yes. We're handling things. Handling things. That's vague and terrifying. I'll explain later, but Maya, I'm choosing this. I know it's crazy. I know you think I'm making a mistake, but it's my choice. Silence. Then, okay, if you're sure. I'm not sure of anything, but I'm trying anyway. That's very brave or very stupid? Probably both. Lena glanced at Victor, who was typing something on his phone. I'll call you tomorrow, when this is settled. It better be settled. And Lena, I love you, even when you're being reckless. Love you too. She hung up. Victor looked up. Your friend doesn't trust me. Can you blame her? No. She's smart to be cautious. He set his phone down. Everything's in motion. By tomorrow morning, Ethan will have 3 major problems to deal with, none of them connected to me on paper, all of them expensive and time-consuming. And then? Then we wait, see if he's smart enough to take the hint. But they didn't have to wait long. At 9 that night, Victor's phone rang. He glanced at the screen, then at Lena. It's Ethan. Answer it. Speakerphone. Victor did. Ethan's voice filled the apartment, tight with barely controlled anger. You're making a mistake, Victor. I don't think so, but I'm listening. This isn't business anymore. You've made it personal. That's dangerous for both of us. You made it personal when you approached Lena. I'm just responding in kind. By destroying my portfolio? By spreading rumors that'll cost me millions in future deals? By protecting what's mine? If you'd left her alone, we wouldn't be having this conversation. A long pause, then, what do you want? For you to back off, completely. No more messages, no more approaches, no more using her to get to me. And in exchange, I'll stop what I started. The portfolio deals fall through, the rumors get corrected. We go back to being competitors instead of enemies. You expect me to trust you after you just proved you can't be trusted? I expect you to do the math. Continuing this costs you millions. Backing off costs you pride. Which one can you afford to lose? Ethan laughed bitterly. You always were better at this than me. Fine. Your girlfriend is off limits. But Victor, one day you're going to care about something I can actually destroy. And when that day comes, I'll remember this. I'll remember it too. The line went dead. Victor set the phone down carefully, like it might explode. Is it over? Lena asked. For now. Ethan's smart enough to know when he's beaten, but he's right. He'll remember this. Store it up for later. And you're okay with that? I'm okay with you being safe. The rest I'll handle when it comes. Lena stood, walked to the window. The rain had stopped. The city looked clean, washed new. I can't believe we just did that. Ended a threat by threatening back. Welcome to my world. It's not pretty, but it's effective. She turned to face him. He looked exhausted, the adrenaline wearing off to reveal the strain underneath. This had cost him. Not just the business moves or the reputation risk, but the emotional energy of caring enough to fight. Thank you, she said. For what? For keeping me safe. For being honest. For choosing me over winning. I didn't choose you over winning. I chose you as what winning looks like. He crossed to her. This, you being safe, us having a chance, that's the win. Everything else is just strategy. She kissed him, not dramatically, just a soft press of lips that said more than words could. That said she was choosing this too. Choosing him despite the danger and the ruthlessness and the terrifying uncertainty of what came next. When she pulled back, he was smiling. Actually smiling. Not the controlled almost smile she'd seen before, but something real and unguarded. What? She asked. I just realized I'm happy. I haven't been happy in so long I almost didn't recognize it. That's sad and sweet at the same time. That's my entire existence. He tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. But maybe with you it can be different. No maybes. It will be different, or we'll end it before it gets toxic. Those are the only options. Deal. They spent the rest of the night talking, not about threats or business or danger, just talking like normal people getting to know each other. She learned he couldn't cook but loved trying, that he played piano when he couldn't sleep, that his favorite movie was something obscure and black and white that she'd never heard of. He learned she sang in the shower terribly and didn't care, that she'd wanted to be a writer before settling on marketing, that she was terrified of birds for no rational reason. Normal things, human things, the kind of conversation that built foundations instead of just intensity. Around midnight, Victor's phone buzzed. He checked it and smiled. Marcus confirms Ethan's team has been pulled back. No surveillance, no monitoring. He actually backed off. So I'm safe. As safe as anyone is in my world, which isn't perfect, but it's better than yesterday. I'll take better than yesterday. He stood to leave. She walked him to the door. Can I see you tomorrow? He asked. Normal dinner, no threats, no folders full of incriminating evidence, just us. Just us sounds perfect. He kissed her forehead. Sleep well, Lena Hayes. You too, Victor Armin. After he left, she called Maya. Please tell me you didn't do anything stupid, Maya answered. Define stupid. Lena. It's handled. Ethan backed off. Victor and I are trying. That's all I can say right now. Trying is good. Trying I can support. Maya sighed. Just promise me you'll be careful. Not paranoid, just aware. I promise. And you'll tell me if things get weird? immediately. Okay, then I'm cautiously optimistic, which is more than I expected to feel about this situation. They talked for another hour. Maya filled her in on work gossip, normal friend things that had nothing to do with billionaires or threats. By the time they hung up, Lena felt almost normal again. She got ready for bed, noticing the green shoes still sitting by her door. Bold, beautiful, a reminder of the choice she'd made to step into this world. Her phone buzzed one last time. Victor. Thank you for choosing to try. I know it wasn't easy. Nothing worth having is easy. True. Sleep well. You too. She fell asleep quickly, exhausted from the emotional roller coaster of the day. And for the first time in weeks, she didn't dream of danger or threats. Just gray eyes and steady hands and the possibility that maybe, just maybe, this could actually work. 3 months later, Lena stood in Victor's office overlooking the city. She'd been here dozens of times now, comfortable enough in his world to navigate it without feeling lost. The threats hadn't materialized. Ethan had stayed away, true to the forced agreement. Daniel had disappeared completely after his compliance audit led to bigger problems. Maya had slowly warmed to Victor after seeing how he treated Lena. Not controlling, not suffocating, just present, honest. Working every day to be better than his instincts. They still fought. She still called him out when he slipped into dictating instead of asking, and he still struggled with the vulnerability of caring about someone. But they were learning, growing, figuring out how to be together without consuming each other. You're thinking too hard, Victor said, coming up behind her. His arms wrapped around her waist, chin resting on her shoulder. I'm thinking about that night, at Aurelio's, the dare that started all this. Regretting it? No, just marveling at how one stupid decision changed everything. Best stupid decision either of us ever made. She turned in his arms. You know what Maya said to me yesterday? What? That you're good for me. That I'm more myself with you than I've been in years. She actually said that? Maya, who threatened to destroy me if I hurt you? The same. I think you won her over by actually listening when I tell you to back off. Revolutionary concept, I know, treating your girlfriend like an autonomous person. You'd be surprised how rare it is. She kissed him. Thank you for trying, for being honest, for letting me be scared and choosing me anyway. Thank you for sitting on my lap and disrupting my entire existence. Best 3 seconds of my life. Mine too. They stood there looking out at the city that had brought them together. It wasn't perfect, wasn't safe. There would always be people like Ethan waiting for an opening, always be risks that came with Victor's world. But they were facing them together. Honestly. With boundaries and respect and the understanding that love didn't mean ownership. Lena had learned that power could be used for protection instead of control. That ruthlessness in business didn't necessarily mean cruelty in relationships. That the scariest people were sometimes the most honest. Victor had learned that vulnerability didn't equal weakness. That caring about someone made him stronger, not more fragile. That the walls he'd built to survive could come down for the right person without destroying him. Neither of them was perfect. Both carried damage from their pasts. But they were choosing each other anyway, every single day, with eyes wide open to the risks and rewards. And in the end, that was what made it real. Not the intensity or the danger or the dramatic beginning, but the daily choice to keep trying. To be honest when it was hard. To trust when instinct screamed to protect. That night they had dinner at Rosie's again, the same booth where Ethan had interrupted months ago. This time, nothing went wrong. No threats, no interruptions. Just two people talking and laughing and building something real from the rubble of everything that had come before. Maya joined them halfway through, sliding into the booth with wine and skepticism that had softened into acceptance. You two are disgustingly functional now, she announced. We try, Lena said. I mean it. I came here ready to hate watch this relationship implode. Instead, you're just normal. It's weird. We have our moments, Victor said. Last week, Lena threatened to move out because I tried to optimize her morning routine. You were trying to control my coffee-making process. I was offering efficiency suggestions. Same thing, Maya laughed. Okay, that's more like it. You're still crazy, just functional crazy instead of toxic crazy. They ate and drank and told stories, normal friend things, normal relationship things. The kind of mundane happiness that looked boring from the outside but felt revolutionary when you'd spent years thinking you didn't deserve it. Later, walking Lena home, Victor said quietly, "I never thought I could have this." "What?" "Normal. Someone who knows who I am and stays anyway. Someone who calls me out when I'm being terrible and believes me when I try to be better."
That's not normal. That's just baseline human decency. In my world, it's revolutionary. She squeezed his hand. Then maybe we need to expand your world. And they did. Slowly, carefully, building something new from the ruins of what they'd each survived. It wasn't perfect, wasn't a fairy tale, but it was real, honest, built on choice instead of need or fear or the desperate hope that love could fix everything. Lena learned she could be strong and still accept help, could demand respect without being alone, could take risks without losing herself. Victor learned he could be vulnerable without being destroyed, could care without controlling, could trust without being betrayed, because he'd chosen someone worthy of trust. They learned together that the boldest risks sometimes led to the strongest foundations, that honesty was harder than charm but lasted longer, that real love wasn't about grand gestures or perfect moments, but about showing up every day and choosing each other even when it was difficult. Years later, when people asked how they met, Lena would smile and say it started with a dare. 3 seconds that changed 2 lives. A reckless moment that taught them both what it meant to be brave. Not brave like fearless. Brave like scared and doing it anyway. Brave like admitting you're broken and trying to heal. Brave like building something new instead of hiding in what's safe. And standing in the quiet of a new morning, choosing each other fully, they proved that sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is exactly what saves you. The end came not with drama, but with peace. The kind of peace that only exists after surviving storms together. After learning to communicate instead of control. After choosing honesty over comfort repeatedly until it became habit. Lena stood at the window of the apartment they now shared, watching the city wake up. Victor's arms wrapped around her from behind, and she leaned into him without hesitation. No fear, no doubt. Just trust earned through 1,000 small choices to be better than their worst instincts. "What are you thinking?" he asked. "That I'm glad I took that dare." Even knowing everything that came after. Especially knowing everything that came after. Because it taught me that I'm strong enough to demand what I deserve, and that sometimes the scariest people are the safest to love. He kissed her temple. "You taught me something too." "What's that?" "That power means nothing if you have nobody to share it with. That being invulnerable just means being alone. That the real risk isn't letting someone in, it's living your whole life without ever trying." They stood together as the sun rose over a city that had witnessed their collision and transformation. Neither perfect, both scarred, but choosing each other anyway with clear eyes and honest hearts. And in that choice, they found what they'd both been searching for all along. Not safety, not certainty, but something real enough to build on. Something worth the risk. Something that started with 3 seconds of reckless courage and became a lifetime of deliberate love. That was the lesson. That was the truth. Not that love conquers all or that the right person fixes everything, but that choosing someone, really choosing them, with honesty and boundaries and respect, was the bravest thing either of them had ever done. And it was enough. More than enough. It was everything.